everyone. Welcome to another edition of Valley News Now Network. We're covering sports overtime today as Duke Schindler hits the desk here once more. Now, I know it's been a couple weeks since we got back on the desk here for sports overtime, but we're back. We didn't miss out on anything here. And we'll start it off with the NDSU Bison, as it's the second round of the FCS playoffs for NDSU. Now, they took on Illinois State in the round of 16 here. And if you remember, earlier this season, NDSU did take the Redbirds down 33-16. However, Illinois State really made it tough throughout those first three quarters because they're only down 2 heading into the fourth before a 15-point Bison fourth quarter put them to bed. So let's take a look here at how Saturday went. We'll start it off. First offensive snap of the game. Cole Payton drops back, launching one deep to a wide open Bryce Lance. He's got it for 78. Bison, they strike first early. Then special teams and defense were big for NDSU in this one. Let's take a look here on the punt return. Jackson Williams biding his time, sitting back there. He's going to grab it here, skirt a little to the left, skirt a little to the right, and he's got an opening. Bison taking it to the house for a 14-0 lead. Redbirds, they do grab a touchdown to cut that lead in half. But then take a look at this. Rittenhouse dropping back. Well, he's going to find the hands on Nate Staling off the tip, grabs the pick and finds some room. 73 yards to the crib, and it is rocking there in Fargo. But let's head to the fourth now. Redbirds, they're down a couple scores. Jump ball from Daniel Sobowitz, bringing it down. What a catch for a one-score game. And now they're going to get the ball back with just a minute left. Rittenhouse making some line adjustments. He takes the snap, rolls to his right. Then he's going to find Sobowitz for the win in the back of the end zone. That leaves it to a 2-point conversion where Rittenhouse finishes the job. That's Scotty Presson Jr. for the win. Scotty knows today, and the Bison, they go down in the round of 16. They're eliminated from playoff contention in an absolute heartbreaker. And I'm sure for anyone who witnessed that with their own eyes may still be sick to their stomach at this point. But we'll stay with NDSU and hit the hardwood here. As the Bison boys basketball, they came off a thrilling win on Saturday hosting Northern Arizona. Taking a peek here, NDSU had a masterclass of a defensive effort in the first half, only allowing 22 points and up 8 at half. However, Northern Arizona makes a run of their own, more than doubling their first half score in the second with 46, which had this thing going down to the wire. A Travion Carson 3 would put the Bison up 6 with 1:40 left before NAU would reply with 5 straight points, making it a 1-point game. Couple defensive stops, though, and NDSU, they came out on top with a 69-68 victory. That improves them to 7-3 on the season. A double-double from Carson, 19 points and 12 boards, and 16 from Markai Strickland. Now we'll head over to the girls' side here as they put up a nice little game of their own, taking on Weber State here. Pleasant start to their season as well. You see it right there on the screen, 7-2 on the season. They were at Weber State for the Big Sky Summit League Challenge, with NDSU controlling this one throughout the game with a big 24-point third quarter. That helped them take the game in this one, that 79-72 victory over the Cats, and a monster game from Avery Conan. A double-double for her as well, 21 points, 10 boards, and 2 blocks, as well as another 3 steals. An absolute menace in the paint there. By the way, that is also her 5th double-double this season. And like I mentioned, NDSU improving to 7-2 on the season. A pretty nice girls basketball team they got there. Now, up north in Grand Forks, UND football, they were still kicking in the FCS playoffs for themselves as well, but in front of them was a very tough Tarleton State team who's been ranked near the top 5 of the FCS pretty much all year. Now, this tough North Dakota team felt the heat from Tarleton, with the Texans taking a quick 13-0 lead in the second before UND cut the lead in half from a Sawyer Seidel 3-yard scamper touchdown. But then it was just Tarleton from there on out. UND would manage to grab one more score, but the Texans, they would run away with this one. A stellar season from UMD also comes to a close, but the improvement we saw from this team throughout the season was certainly there. Got to tip the hat to Coach Schmidt on the job he's done for a very stellar season. That helps elevate this UND team and really making them a legitimate threat in the conference and the FCS even. But staying in Grand Forks, we'll head over to the hockey rink. UND taking on my alma mater, St. Cloud State, who's been a little frisky this year. I'll give them that. Not as good as years past. But UND, they're looking to take care of business at the Herb in the Harvard of the Midwest, St. Cloud. Now, of course, I obviously have a little bit of bias there. In Game 1, UND taking it to St. Cloud. Both teams trading goals in the second period before two UND goals from James Dillon and Will Zellers would put the Hawks up two halfway through the third. But that would be enough. And that would be enough in this one, as the Huskies, they'd be able to muster up one more goal to make it a game with just about 7 minutes left. But 10 third period saves from Jan Spunar would shut the door on any St. Cloud comeback. UND, they grab Game 1, 4-3. Then heading over to Game 2, a little bit of the same kind of script here. UND would take a cushy 2-goal lead halfway through the second off 2 goals from Cade Littler. Then in the second and into the third, Cloud replies to tie it up from Ryan Rossabro. And then with the game tied at 2, it was Jake Levanich stepping up to be the hero in this game, grabbing the 1-goal lead and his second goal of the game and putting in an empty netter at the buzzer. UND grabs the sweep on St. Cloud in a couple really fun weekend games. But what hasn't been fun here over the last few weeks is Minnesota Vikings football. I think many Vikings fans there can relate on that one. Obviously, a brutal shutout taken to the hands of the Seahawks last week, and Minnesota just hoping to turn their luck around, especially when you face a 31st ranked defense in the Washington Commanders. Hopefully, also a better showing from QB J.J. McCarthy, who did return from a concussion that he suffered a couple weeks ago. Now let's take a look here. Vikings Wario making an appearance. Shout out my guy Jake. Now this looked like a totally different Vikings team, driving through the red zone and nailing Josh Oliver on the first drive of the game. Vikings up 7. Then deja vu later in the second, another Minnesota monster drive with the handoff to Jordan Mason, finishing it off for another 6, 14-0 Vikes. Now how can you make your young QB comfortable? Have the defense make a play. There's Andrew Van Ginkel grabbing the tip pass and pick on 4th and 3. That's a big one for this Vikings defense, as they get another 3 on top of that. Then in the third, J.J. McCarthy, plenty of time in the pocket, allowing Josh Oliver in the flat to get the 6. It is 24-0 Vikes. So after getting shut out last week, Minnesota, they put up 31 points on offense. Well, mostly on offense, I should say, and then a shutout of their own. Quite the response after the last few weeks here, as Minnesota now 5-8 on the season. Not too bad of a showing there from J.J. McCarthy as he gives the fist bump there, and I'm sure Kevin O'Connell has got a little bit of heat off his back. But we'll stick around in Minneapolis here as the Timberwolves, they were hitting the court on Saturday, taking on a very lowly Clippers team who's been having a real tough stretch this season. But Minnesota, they're looking to make it 5 straight after a previous 3-game skid. Let's head to the Target Center with the Wolves down 2. Here's Anthony Edwards, 2-handed slam to the dish. But the Clippers came to play in this one. Harden put some moves on, vintage Harden to the rack, putting the Clips up 11. But we go to the fourth now as the Wolves close the gap. In transition, Jaden walks into the 3. Wolves retake the lead. Then Julius again being a playmaker here. Gives it off to Nas on the step back. Nas 3 puts it in. Wolves up even bigger. Now 35 ticks left. Wolves up 2. Bogdan Bogdanovic. Oh, that is a beauty with Jalen Clark guarding. So when you need a bucket, who do you go to? 2 words. Nas Reed. 4-3, buries it and takes the lead. A sick, cold-blooded shot from the former Six Moy. Then, final chance for the Clippers, off to Harden. No good. Gets the rebound, Jaden secures it, and the Wolves take the victory. 109-106. Yeah, sure, it might have been a little bit of an escape there and a real scary one for the Wolves against a not great Clippers team, but hey, when you look at it, it's all about the wins and losses. Minnesota now 5 straight wins for the Wolves on that beautiful court as well. Well, thank you very much for joining us here on Sports Overtime today. I'm glad you enjoyed it here. If you need anything else, if you like what we're doing here on the desk, just make sure to let us know here And if you never want to miss another sports overtime or whatever we're doing here on the Valley News Now desk, make sure you got the VNL News app on your smartphone or mobile device, or if you got a smart TV, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, VNL app is available on all of those, so you can never miss another sports overtime here on the Valley News Now network. Well, for Duke Schindler here, we'll catch you later.